So does Kinesio tape work for tennis elbow? I can tell you, as a tennis elbow sufferer, it worked. As you can see, yeah, sorry about my light here. I'm getting light and then my camera is one of those that this is the best I can get. So I'm all the way taped up. So I used about that much last night and I played 2 sets at men's night. And in the past, if I played 2 sets, the next day I was suffering a little bit. Pain scale anywhere between 4 and maybe 5 and 6, depending on if I'm, grabbing something. But today, I'm at pain scale right now, maybe 2, maybe 3. When I don't move or when I don't press, I don't feel any pain. You know, the nagging pain is like nerve field pain that's constantly there. I don't feel right now. And I think what Kinesio tape does is it continuously get the blood flow going and it kind of relieves the tight muscles just continuously. It didn't help when I shanked the ball on the frame. And nothing's gonna help unless I have a 110-inch racket that is that big. But let me just put that out there. If you have tennis elbow, get one of these Kinesio tape just and put everywhere like this, like me. And it's going to relieve that constant pain at least. I can't guarantee that you can go out and play, but day to day, like grabbing water bottle, coffee mug, it's not gonna hurt as much. And I'm gonna I don't know if you can see, but so here, right? I had it here. And this morning, I'm like, holy cow, this actually works. So I put, above the nerve area, one of my surgeon friend told me there is nerve right here. And so I put it there. I put it the golfer's elbow spot. And I put on my shoulder as well. Because based on some of the researches that I had, tennis elbow follows after shoulder problems. And the one way to tell whether you have the shoulder impingement, if it's impingement, yeah, either tear or impingement. But I'm not a doctor, but I just saw one YouTube video that one of the doctors explained it like this. The impingement issue can be verified by putting your hand up and then put your thumb down. And if this motion gives it a pressure or some pain, that means more likely you have a shoulder impingement. And he said if you press this down and if it hurts, which it does, it's not a huge pain, but it's like level 2 kind of pain, like a very uncomfortable knotting type of feel. So I do have some impingement. So that doctor's theory is that when you have shoulder issue, you're going to overcompensate your arm, and when too much pressure goes into it, tennis elbow happens. And looking back, I think I can pinpoint one shot that was a backhand volley from the dead zone where I like to stay. Unfortunately, I need to get out of there. But during the last match, now about 40 days ago, I hit that just dead on. It was really heavy ball, one of those pro pen ball, like heavy duty ones. And I think there was a lot of like moisture in the air too, because that day the ball felt really heavy. And I was using the Wilson N code, which I listed for sale. I'm going to sell that off because it is a lighter racket. It gave me a lot of pop, but it was too light. The other thing I want to talk about in the later part of the video is that it's a 27.25 inch long. So the longer racket with a tight string, boom, that one shot basically gave me the tennis elbow, I'm pretty sure. And probably some, build up to it with a shoulder issue. Probably the muscles were getting tight, and then I over tightened it with the racket is a 1/4 inch longer because I was kind of fiddling with the racket too much. Which I need to stop doing. By the way, Nick at Intuitive Tennis, he was testing bunch of rackets, like 50 rackets in 6 months, and now he has an arm problem, which I'm going to cover in later part. But I just wanted to make like huge emphasis on this Kinesio tape. If you have any nagging issues, just go ahead and like slather it, like me, like everywhere. This should last like 2 to 3 days. I already feel so much better, and I played last night 2 sets. It didn't feel great in the second set, but I did videotape the first set, most of it, and I'm going to make a separate video of how I played last night, how some shots are just like super ugly. You think that you look good on like tennis when you, for me, when I see myself, some of these shots I hit like this. I think I'm doing this, but I'm doing this. And I think I'm doing split step evenly, but I gallop like a freaking horse. Anyways, I'll just make a separate video and I'll point out which shots actually hurt my arm the most. And I actually try to like grab my arm after certain shots to show what hurt. And some of you who has good eyes, maybe let me know, give me some tennis tips, high level players. As someone the other day mentioned that I snap wrist like this when I serve from one shot, and I'm thinking about that. I'm trying to limit that by wearing the wrist brace and everything. So did I like bring it to home about this? If you have tennis elbow, just go and get some. I saw on Amazon this roll is like $12 for 2 rolls, I think, which is working. So yeah, anyways, enough of Kinesio tape. Going back to Nick at Intuitive Tennis. So he was testing out because the Babla Pure like 2015 was like discontinued. He wanted to find something else. He liked Wilson Shift, which apparently Andy Roddick approved too. And he said during a match, he played like shit. And he brought back the old Pure Drive 27.5-inch racket, and he still played like shit. But in 6 months, playing with 50 different rackets, he messed up his arm really bad. He said he was doing some lessons for like 10 hours. His arm was so painful. And some of the things that he said was, the one time that he had a tennis elbow, he had the same situation as me. The common element here is that encode. He said the only time he had tennis elbow like 15 years ago was when he used one of those Wilson encode. The only time I had tennis elbow 10 years ago, it was a Wilson encode, which gave me tennis elbow again because I didn't get rid of it 10 years ago. That was really interesting to hear. I wish I can link that video, but they don't let me link somebody else's video, I guess. I don't know. And he said the one shot that hurts the main causes of tennis elbow is one hand backhand, which I experienced that too. And he keeps saying the Pure Drive is, for him, it's a healing racket. And in my opinion, it's because his body, his technique and timing is all tuned into that racket. And so his hitting is pretty much optimized for 27.5, giving less stress to his arm. He probably have certain timing where he grabs the handle. But he's not paying attention to it. I think that's why he's having more issues possibly too, because I bought Pure Aero 27.5 a while back. And here's the racket actually. So this was, Pure Aero Pure Drive. The light is terrible. It's a plus, which means a 27.5. And when I was playing with this at my 3-5 level, what ended up happening is on ground strokes, if I give enough room between the ball and my, my arm, it gives more leverage. You can generate a lot more heavier, bigger shots. But at the net was a problem because I mainly play doubles. At net, when I want to hit a put away overhead, I end up hitting the ball at about right there, that angle. Not 90 degree, but slightly, because of my swing tendency and heaviness of this racket, and it is longer. It took more time for me to hit either flat or down to put the ball in the court. So I ended up hitting like this. I would just hit the fence on my overhead shots. And in the second set, this racket felt too heavy for me to continue to play. So what I ended up doing is I cut that 1/4 inch here. I cut it off, and then it screwed up the balance, so it's very, very head heavy. So I had to put some stuff in here. I need to regrip this. But so going back to Nick's problem, in my opinion, when you mess up the length of the racket, you're going to mess up quite a bit. And my tennis elbow came from using 27-inch for last 3-5 years or more, and testing out and fiddling with freaking 27 1/4. That ankle right there gave me that. So let's talk about a little bit of physics of it. I'm not a physics kind of guy, but I can see it in my head. When you are used to hitting, let's say, the backhand, which is the biggest problem, you have certain length, certain eye, coordination where you hit the ball, your hitting spot. When you have slightly longer racket, you end up hitting spot is here. When you have a shorter racket, you hit here. Now, let's assume same ball, same spin, same power. If you hit it here versus here, because if it's a longer spot hitting, it's going to push more. When lever is long, the further away from your hand will impact more. Do you follow me? So if you hit here, boom, it doesn't hurt as much. If you hit here, it pushes more because there's more of a physics of leverage. I don't know how to explain it, but let's say if I hit a tennis ball with a broomstick that is 25 inches, you hit the tennis ball on the edge of the broomstick, it's going to break your arm. However, if you hit it with hammer is like 12 inches. You hit that, you will feel nothing because of it's short. I mean, yes, it is heavy too. Let's just assume, if it's a light wood, no, it has to be the same weight. Let's just assume same 300 gram broomstick versus 300 gram short, like wooden stick that is that long. When you hit it close to that, you're not gonna feel as much as a broomstick. And so I think that's where Nick is really having problem here. And I had the same problem. And one thing that caught my ears of what Nick said is the pure drive responsiveness is higher. What does that mean? Responsiveness. It means more lively. When you hit the ball, it generates more pop, more spin, more action on the ball, which means you don't have to do as much on your arm, shoulder, body, hip, and leg. So to me, the way I translate his word responsiveness is when I talk about the strings, how lively they are. So for example, 18 gauge is way more livelier than 16 gauge. 16 gauge is way more dead compared to 18 gauge, right? And so I think that's the key. if you pick up one thing other than the Kinesio tape, make your racket, if you have tennis elbow, make your racket as responsive as possible, which means you use very power-driven racket, very lively, loose tension, thin gauge strings. What else? If you make that, that's the opposite of the player's racket, in my opinion. Player's racket is low power, very control driven. So when you see Tennis Warehouse, if it says power level low, I think you need to avoid that. For example, like this, pure strike is control racket. It's a player's racket. It hurts my arm like son of gun, son of bitch actually. It really does. When I use more of a like amateur racket like this, it helps. When I use this, it's more of a in between player racket and amateur racket, but this doesn't give me as much power as this. This gives me more power because it had less swing weight than this. String pattern is wider, 16 by 16 gives me more responsiveness, more liveliness than this. When I'm lean down on my backhand, the ball is deep and the ball is bouncing near my feet. If I just lean forward and just rip this on my backhand, this will get a lot of action and make it dip and go in where my opponents have a hard time. This racket, on the other hand, the ball doesn't have as much of the spirit and liveliness than this one. So in order to hit the same shot, if I use this, I need to be stronger maybe. I need to be faster. My swing speed has to be faster. But assuming my swing speed is the same, this will give me more swing speed than this. So that goes with, more open pattern, which I made a video a couple days ago, give you more liveliness. And when you have more liveliness, you're going to have less pain on your arm. This is universal rule, I think. So, am I a scientist? No. Am I a doctor? No. I'm just freaking 3-5 US player, but I'm just connecting the dots. I like connecting the dots. I like to fiddle things, which is a problem why I have this. But I'm the guinea pig, so you don't have to. So don't do what I do. But maybe pick up some good data from me doing guinea pig and use it to your benefit. So shift, I hear that quite a bit. It gives you good forehand and serve, but it can be too firm. I'm not sure. I used it maybe one time, the lighter version. No, I just touched it. I never played with it. Maybe I need to check out, but again, I think, I don't know. So I think Nick needs to, if Nick is watching, I mean, he's, he's pretty busy on YouTube, or he will probably never watch this video, but if he stops fiddling with 27 versus 27.5, he will get closer to finding the racket and fix his problem, in my opinion. So kind of to round this up, one other thing, round this up, let's wrap this up. The one thing that I want to mention is that, so I shanked the ball, probably 3 shots yesterday, and as I mentioned, there's nothing that you can do, no matter whether I have a Pro Kinex, the tennis arm friendly racket. If I hit on the frame, it's gonna hurt my arm like son of a bitch. And one thing I don't like about this racket is it is 98, it's smaller head, and it is more of a egg shape, the oval shape. So I keep hitting down here, only on the forehand. It might be my hip tightness. I don't go down on the low ball enough. So I ended up hitting right here. It hurts. So I'm thinking maybe I need to go to 102, 105. There's one racket that's almost same as this with the 102. I'm kind of almost like thinking about buying it. It's like 99 bucks. It's hard to beat $100 racket nowadays. I'm thinking about it. If I do, I'll do, review too. But I'm thinking about probably bigger racket because I shank it too much. That's one thing right now I'm thinking. And then it is important for me to have a faster swing speed. I'm thinking this, similar to this, which I believe this is a swing speed 320 gram is where it's like, swinging at. And I need to have that my swing speed. And when I watched some of my shots from last night, I still do this, which hurts. I need to stop doing that. But that's the other thing. When you hit like ball machine setting, you're gonna hit like Roger Federer, nice and pretty, everything like so nice. And you go to the match court, you play like an ugly tennis. That's me. And I think that's most people. Because your natural tendency comes out under pressure. Important points. Even men's night, at 4-4, it gets tight because we don't want to lose, right? But when you practice on the ball machine, I could do this. I could do this, turning my, left shoulder so I can actually follow through and hit it out. During a match, I don't do this. I do this. It looks pathetic to watch, but that's how I play, which means I need to have the racket that supports my match play tendency and habits, not ball machine habits. When I see Nick testing out these different rackets, he's just hitting ball machine. You cannot tell whether the racket's gonna work for you or not if you're using on a ball machine. In my opinion, in my humble opinion, you gotta use that racket during a match because that's how you really play. So hope that makes sense. And the last thing is don't go to 27 inch plus rackets, not even quarter, not even half. I see a lot. I was a lot of you have been like commenting on Pro Kinex. My problem with that is that a lot of the beams are thin, which is against my theory of a lot of power racket, which in my opinion has to be minimum 23 millimeters thick. A lot of Pro Kinexes are 21, 22 for the lower flex rating below 60. I think it's wrong. And I don't want to pay $250 to get a racket and add into my collection. And so I'm just trying to find a way. Right now I like this racket, but I'm looking at a wider one than this one with a thicker frame. And so I think it's more on fitting swing speed, the weight, and then string is more important than Pro Kinex. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm probably wrong. But if you're not into buying a new racket and try to fix within the system the tools that you have, as I mentioned before, I think the swing weight has to be where you're comfortable and not lighter than 300 grams in my opinion. Anywhere between 300 and 320 is the magic number. If you're 7 foot tall guy, you can go to maybe 340, 350, but it was too heavy for me. So lower tension, lighter gauge, below 50 pounds, preferably below 45. Multi-filament is always the best, or gut, but try to stay away from the full bed poly. That's really hard for your arm. And the string wise, it has to be lively. And if anybody out there know how to check the string the responsiveness, which is a lively feel. If you know how to tell that, please let me know in the comment section. I read every comment right now because I'm learning. Somebody give me like free lessons on my serves and everything, which is awesome. So I do appreciate it. And oh, one last thing, I actually set up a link for if you want to support this channel so I can be your guinea pig for tennis elbow and other back issue, which I'll be covering later. Go to that link. You can buy me a coffee. I'll make a big shout out too for you. Thanks for the support. And yeah, so I'll keep compiling this data, and I want to find the magic formula for anybody who's suffering the tennis elbow. I gotta fix myself first, and I hope you pick up one or two things here so you can implement, so you can improve your issues. And at some point, I want to make a complete guide, like one sheet that's going to explain everything that anybody can use to make the perfect setup. That's my goal. And I spent a lot of time like watching other doctors, like physical therapists, on how to do the exercise, the strengthening. Those videos are coming, guys. I just need to make them. I'm just compiling, and like I said, my tennis elbow tells me whether it works or not. So I'll be compiling those videos and send those out to you in the next maybe few weeks or so. So keep following me so that you can see what I'm doing for my tennis elbow, and hopefully you can take care of it too. My goal is to not have any pain and enjoy the tennis. That's why I actually made this channel, believe it or not. I figured a not so strong, not so athletic kind of guy like myself, not a pro, not a even high school player. I'm just like a recreational player. So I want to make this information for most of you who are like me. If you're a pro, don't watch this. Obviously, you're not going to watch this. But I figure I'll be the guinea pig. I'll be the testing player. I'll be the tester of anything. So if you have any thoughts, you want to check out anything, you let me know. I'm not going to, buy a bunch of stuff. But based on what I already have, I'm just like testing. I'm like fiddling. That's what I'm doing. So far, I'm not gonna repeat the racket setup in this video, but so far one thing that worked is this. If you pick up one thing, just pick this up and put on your arm, and that's it for today's video. Thanks for your support, and enjoy your weekend. Go out there and have fun. Stay fit. See you in the next video.